welcome to another exciting episode of The Clean Talk. I'm your host, Samiya Andrabi, and we are shining a spotlight on the buzzword of the decade, sustainability. The entire world is talking about sustainability and even inching closer to it. Then why should the commercial cleaning industry lag behind? With me today is Andrew Turner, Institutional Division Manager at Reza Hygiene, and we are going to speak about some very interesting sustainable initiatives by Reza Hygiene. So let's begin. Welcome to the Clean Talk, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Samiya.
We are very excited to hear your perspective and insights about the topic at hand, that is sustainability at Reza Hygiene. And we are equally excited to know what all you do to promote sustainability. So I really want to start this conversation with understanding about materials and ingredients. Are the materials and ingredients used in your cleaning products sustainably sourced or environmentally friendly?
Excellent. I mean, it's a very good place to start when you're talking about sustainable and environmentally friendly products. And Reza Hygiene, we like to think we're probably the forefront or the leaders in this, certainly in the Middle East. The recent release of our sustainability report in 2022, so back end of last year, highlights a lot of the things we've been working on. And one of those is commitment to responsible sourcing of raw materials and packaging. And in 2022, we had a 100% commitment to that. And it's critical to ensuring that your products are environmentally sustainable. As an ISO 14001 registered company, we have a real commitment to responsible manufacturing and the environment, and all of our products are actually EN registered. So the EN registration is the European registration for products, and anything that goes through EN registration in Europe had to achieve fairly strict environmental directives that were implemented in the late 1990s. It was actually one of my very first jobs, as I used to be a development chemist, and we had to redevelop all of our products in Europe to meet the standards of two directives, which were REACH and Biocidal Products Directive. The REACH standard and directive, I mean, in simplicity, REACH is all about aiming to improve the protection of human health, the environment, and through the better and earlier identification of the intrinsic properties of chemical substances. I'm just reading that verbatim from the REACH guidebook. And essentially what that means is in all your raw materials have to hit strict environmental guidelines. And on the Biocidal Products Directive, again, it's all about ensuring that any biocidal products, so your things like sanitizers, which we use heavily in the cleaning industry, have to achieve certain levels to ensure a high level of protection of human and animal health, as well as environmental protection. So Reza has a 100% commitment to ensuring that everything we source, and we do source from around the world. We're lucky in the fact that we're an independent company. We aren't global, but even though we aren't global, we can ensure that we source from the best place to source raw materials. So we choose our suppliers very, very carefully. For example, working with BASF, they have a lot of very, very good environmental raw materials that are perfect for our products. So we ensure that everything is sourced to ensure that we are as environmentally friendly as possible. And then going further than that, beyond just our generic range, we obviously have green range of chemicals, which takes that to an even further level. There are far stricter guidelines on those. So we have to ensure that all the raw materials, everything is sustainably sourced and environmentally friendly.
Wonderful. And since we are talking about sourcing and raw materials this time, do you prioritize the use of biodegradable and non-toxic ingredients in your formulations?
We do, absolutely. Again, this is very closely linked to being a chemical producer that meets European guidelines. So European guidelines are very, very strict on the biodegradability of raw materials. They have implemented strict levels, again, related to the two directives that I mentioned before, REACH and Biocidal Products Directive. So every single product of ours has to achieve these standards. And if it doesn't, we simply can't produce it within our factory. So it's very carefully monitored. We have a very, very good internal research and development team, a internal quality team. So every single raw material that comes through the door, it is checked. It is goes through various tests to ensure that it does meet these requirements. And we can give 100% commitment and assurance to all our customers that every single thing we use is the most kind of biodegradable and non-toxic for that particular formulation. Unfortunately, there are always still products and formulations that are damaging to the environment. You can never get away from being completely 100% safe in certain areas, but we try to minimize the use of those chemicals, and we're always looking at ways, new technology, new raw materials to ensure that they are completely eradicated from the entire supply chain. We're still globally, every single chemical company uses similar items that still do have some environmental impact, but they are minimized now, which is good news. When I first started in the industry over 20 years ago as a young development chemist, some of the chemicals we produced then were dreadful, and they certainly wouldn't be allowed now. And we've come a long way since then. And in the future, I think with the worldwide drive to be more sustainable, and with Saudi Arabia and the Middle East really pushing that with Vision 2030 and the big projects such as NEOM and Red Sea, where they're trying to be the most sustainable projects on the planet, it will help drive that. It will bring in new technology where we can get rid of things like chlorine-based products that are inherently environmentally damaging. And I just think if we all work together, everyone aligns on it, all the chemical companies comply with it, which unfortunately many of them don't. But if we all do, then we can speed up the process of getting rid of any products that are still potentially toxic to the environment.
Wonderful. Now, since sustainability is a very broad topic and we are trying to cover as much as possible, so I'd now like to touch upon energy and water efficiency. How do you ensure energy and water efficiency in your manufacturing process?
So this is something that my RCI team, so RCI is Reza Chemical Industries, that's our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Jeddah, have been absolute stars at. A lot of people in Saudi Arabia, because we are essentially a desert and water is an expensive resource, and not everywhere has it. It's not like Europe where there are plenty of lakes, rivers, streams, and water is everywhere. Obviously, in the Middle East, there's a lack of it, and a lot of it has to be transported in. You essentially have to, in a manufacturing process, you have to use very, very high quality and pure water. And in a lot of the places in the Middle East, the only way to do that is tanker it in. Now, our RCI team went through the process. They invested a lot of money in installing our own water treatment plant in the factory, our own reverse osmosis system. So we can now do all of that at the factory, which enables us to save nearly 50 tons of water a month that we were shipping in. It's a huge amount of water used in our process, because most chemicals, unfortunately, are 95% water, and we've significantly reduced our carbon footprint by being able to use the water that is available on site and put that through our own water treatment plant. We also recycle a lot of water. So since 2020, we have saved over 400,000 litres by recycling water and being able to put it back through the water treatment plant, which is a massive amount in the Middle East. It's a huge amount. So to enable to do that has helped a lot. And we've also looked at super concentrating our chemicals. So when you produce chemicals, as I said, a generic chemical usually is around about 95% water, a massive amount. If you super concentrate that, so essentially make the raw material and ingredients, the chemical components, put more of them in, make it more concentrated, you reduce the amount of water that is needed. So again, saving water. So a lot of the Reza Hygiene chemicals have very, very high dilution rates, somewhere in the region of 1 to 200, some of them even 1 to 400, which means, for every litre, you get 400 litres. It's huge. Now, that saves water in its own right as well. So we've done a lot towards this, and I've really got to be thankful to our RCI team for implementing such measures, because it really does show a commitment to sustainability. And in carbon footprint alone anyway, we are a Saudi manufacturer. We are have fully certified as Saudi made, a recent initiative by the Saudi government to have more of the things within Saudi Arabia produced locally. And that's got a huge impact on carbon footprint. It's I often speak to customers, meet clients, and they're very big on sustainability. And then I find out that they are shipping in chemicals from UAE, America, UK, Europe, and it's fine when you're bringing in raw materials. We have to bring in raw materials from around the world because Saudi Arabia isn't set up for all the raw materials we need. But if you're shipping in finished goods, it's a massive, massive impact on the environment. So all of our products are produced in Saudi Arabia, which is a big advantage, lowers the carbon footprint. And again, on raw materials, where possible, we do source as close as we can to the factory. So, for example, caustic soda is a big component of all, a lot of chemicals, not all chemicals, but a big component, and we source locally within Saudi Arabia. So we do everything possible to look at locally sourcing, producing locally, and then on water, we've made huge gains in the amount of water we save.
That's wonderful to know. All the countries right now are focused on reducing their carbon footprint, and I'm really glad to hear that you've already taken, initiatives that help reduce it. Now, coming towards the certifications part, I'm sure that your products have certain cleaning certifications for eco-friendliness or sustainability. Tell us more about them.
We do indeed. And now, green certification is an interesting topic, and I've discussed this at length with many of the big projects, NEOM, Red Sea, many of our clients, because it is often very much misunderstood, sorry. Now, you get various, there is UL Eco logo, there's Green Guard, there's Green Seal, there's EU Eco logo, and all of them are meant to be a higher level of sustainable products, biodegradability, etc. But it should also be remembered that anything produced in Europe does have a tendency to achieve these highest standards anyway. Green certification was first introduced in North America and Canada. They were the first people to do it with the Eco logo and Green Seal certification. And it was a method of them getting around still being able to produce dangerous or not non-sustainable products, and then keep those. But if people wanted to be more sustainable, they could go for Eco logo or Green Seal certification. I think there were some others at that time, environmental choice. In Europe, when I first started out in the industry, we were forced to change everything anyway. So it is, I always like to add, green certification has got better and better, and they've got stricter directives, but I also like to kind of add EN products in there, because if you do have an EN registered product and you meet all the European directives, you're potentially higher than a lot of the green certifications that are out there, or you're equal. But because we do supply all over the Middle East, and different people have their different kind of thoughts on environmental certification, we've got lots of products and lots of certifications on all of them. So we've got products that are UL Eco logo and Green Seal certified. So most of our housekeeping ranges, we have Green Guard Gold certification. As far as I know, we are the only company, certainly in the Middle East, potentially even worldwide, with a quarter ammonium based sanitizer that has Green Guard Gold certification. We also have USDA certified bio-based products. So those products mean they're completely bio-based. So raw materials are plant derived rather than crude oil derived, which is a big plus. And we've also got a few products that are OMRI organic certification. What that means is essentially organic. Everybody knows, you see it on your food, and everyone believes organic is made without pesticides, which it is. So it's very good for the environment. So our products, again, are certified to be in areas where people can use the products and still certify their end goods as organic. So we kind of cover all bases. We've got EN, which is European, and then all the key worldwide recognized certifications. And we're in the process at the moment of, we've actually got 41 products being registered under the UL Eco logo and Green Seal certification, just to help and assist our clients, essentially. And because people like Red Sea, people like Neom, a lot of the projects in the Middle East, across Saudi, Europe, Bahrain, Qatar, they're all looking for, in their tender specs, in their projects, to use green certified products. So Reza Hygiene thought, right, well, let's take the initiative to certify as many products as we possibly can. It is expensive, it is a huge cost, but we think if we can support our customers in ensuring that they can state that they are using the most certified, green certified, sustainable product on the market, then it's good for all of us. And we've had some very recent successes, being where we've supplied customers with these products, and this has enabled them to get things like Green Key certification. Green Key certification is the world's leading certification for hospitality. So hotels, inns, guest houses, restaurants. If you're Green Key certified, it means you meet a number of standards that are sustainable and protect the environment. And hygiene related items are around 30% of that standard. So we've had a couple of wins with guys being able to certify themselves as Green Key because we have supplied them with everything that helps them meet that standard, particularly the EU UL Eco logo products. And we're actually also a corporate partner of Green Key because they assessed us, had a look at all our product range. They loved the fact that we are doing everything possible to certify more products under the kind of worldwide standards. And as such, they made us the Middle East corporate partner. So if anybody's looking to get Green Key certification, we can help them dramatically with that because we work very closely with Green Key.
That's wonderful to hear because I think it gives a sense of reassurance to the customers as well. When they see that their supplier is taking so much effort in ensuring that all the products are sustainable, and when they're certified on such levels, it really is reassuring for end customers like housekeepers or maybe even infection control people now. So
Absolutely.
coming, yeah, sorry. So now before we wrap up, one last question that I want to ask is about the environmental impact assessments or tests conducted on your products.
Interesting. So the old me, 20 years ago when I was fresh out of university and worked as a development chemist, could have given you a very in-depth and knowledgeable answer. Unfortunately, I haven't worked in a laboratory for nearly 17 years now. But to give you an overview, all of our raw materials have to go through because of the certifications we've got. So UL Eco logo, UL Green Guard, Green Seal, EN. They have to go through strict biodegradability tests, which is really the main one that we're looking for on products, biodegradability and bioaccumulation. So biodegradability is very simple. As we know, it's how fast it breaks down once it's in the environment. Bioaccumulation, slightly different. It's things like fish, things like plants, they are things like even rocks. They can store and accumulate certain raw materials. And what you want to do is have products that have the minimal bioaccumulation possible, i.e., it doesn't accumulate in aquatic life. And then probably the final one is aquatic and marine life toxicity. So most of any chemical cleaning, because we use water, ends up in the drains, and a lot of that can end up in seas, rivers, streams, lakes. So a critical part of testing any chemical is ensuring it doesn't have any aquatic life, aquatic plants, toxicity. So again, all of our raw materials are tested for that, and the chemical formulations as well have to achieve minimal levels. I mean, there's other tests such as occupational exposure limits, which monitor the effects on us as humans or anybody working with the chemicals. So they should be very minimal, if any at all. In a perfect case scenario, you want a chemical that anybody can use and there is no risk to the user. So that's another test that the chemicals go through. In terms of details of the test, as I say, I think the old me probably would have been able to answer that, but 17 years out the laboratory, I can't give full details, but that's an overview of them. It's really making sure that the raw materials and the subsequent products that we produce achieve minimal bioaccumulation, maximum biodegradability, minimum occupational exposure limits and minimal toxicity to both humans, mammals, aquatic life, fish. If we can achieve absolutely no toxicity, no bioaccumulation, massive biodegradability, or no need for any biodegradability at all. And that should be the end game of all of us. A perfect example is sanitizers. Now, for years, everybody has used chlorine, and they have used quaternary ammonium compound as really probably the top main sanitizers. Now, there are thoughts and it's rumors have been around for a while that quaternary ammonium compounds, or quartz, may eventually get banned. It's because a lot of them, certain ones were banned in Europe, but a lot of them still do have fairly high toxicity, and this thought process of getting rid of those. Chlorines have high toxicity, and there are options. Hydrogen peroxide, ozone based sanitizers, they biodegrade simply into water and oxygen, which is perfect. You can't get anything better. So I think if there is a push, we need to push towards safer alternatives in that region.
Wonderful. And that is a wrap. Thank you so much for being on this episode of the Clean Talk, Andrew. Very detailed answers and a lot of information that we got from you for our listeners.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Samiya.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us on this episode of the Clean Talk. And to our listeners, if you found this episode interesting, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and spread the word. Until next time.